Assalamualaikum and good morning everyone. Here's a very quick tutorial about how to import your storyboard in the Storyboard Pro. Okay, katakanlah kamu dah buat storyboard kan, lakarkan atas kertas. So the next step would be to either scan it, use a full scanner, ataupun kamu boleh ambil gambar dengan telefon kamu, and then you just export it onto your computer or laptop. Right, you can just export it into your Google Drive and then re-import it through your laptop. So let's say you've already pulled up your file, like this is an example, right? So this is actually a JPEG. So if you have any other softwares, drawing software, Krita, Photoshop, or anything, next thing you gotta do is you want to edit it. So I'm gonna pull up Photoshop, right? So next thing, I'm going to open up the file. Let's say I've opened it up in let's say I've opened it up in desktop, right? Let's save it here. Let's open that. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do is I want to crop whichever images. I mean, you don't have to do this now. Storyboard can do that for you, but for the sake of your to make things a lot easier for you afterwards, it doesn't matter what software you're using. Even if you put up in Paint, it's fine. Just make sure you save whichever panels that you want to use, right? So let's say I select this one. Okay, so I'm gonna copy that, put on a new one. Okay, I'm gonna create a new one. Control V. I'm gonna give it an appropriate name. I'm gonna save it as, okay, so I'm now in desktop. Make sure you create your own folder first, right? So it is AAM1013. So this is assignment 2, right? No, sorry, assignment 3. 2 actually. 2 or 3, because it depends if you want to compile to storyboard or animatic right away. So I'm going to put this under assignment 3, animatic. So I'm going to put 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Alright. So I'm going to create a folder. So I'm going to put a new file, image here, folder, storyboard images. Right. So this is just temporary. I can rename it later. So I'm going to name this scene 0001. So this is panel 1. Right. Because let's say there are 2 panels before. So I'm going to save it as that. Make sure you number it properly. Kena nomborkan dengan apa? Kamu kena nomborkan dalam aturan yang betul. Kalau tidak, sendiri nanti akan keliru. So we're gonna name this, okay? I'm gonna name the save JPEG. Doesn't matter how you save this. Afterwards, when you import into Storyboard, it will make the adjustments for you. So I'm gonna save it. Yeah, okay. Let's save it like that. I'm gonna go here. So I'm gonna take another panel. All right. I'm gonna save this. C. Gonna make a new one. Oops, wrong. And okay, create. So I'm gonna rename this file, save as, okay, JPEG. Okay, there you go, and I'm gonna save that as is. Okay, so now that I've got it done, right, I can close this. So now I've pulled up my Storyboard Pro. Okay, so I'm gonna create this new file. I'm gonna look for where I saved it, the file is here. So I'm gonna go to desktop, 3, create a new one. So I'm gonna select this folder and name it AM1013 1, 2, 3, 4 assignment 3. Sorry. Okay, assignment 3. So okay, project title and everything here. Make sure you select the right ratio, the right aspect ratio. So if you don't see it in here, that's fine, don't worry. Right, you can create a new one. So I'm gonna name this AAM1013 assignment. Okay, so I'm gonna rename it to 720 4:5. That's the new scale, film aspect ratio. So we can leave this alone, that's fine. So now another preset we have to take care of is a frame count. So go for 25 frames per second, width of 720, height of 4:5. Remember, this is the aspect ratio we're going for. So now I'm going to create a new one. So this is what we're going for. Everything's alright. Subtitles, we can leave this one alone. So once this is filled in, this one is filled in, this is set up, so now we can create a new project. So let's create a new project, and while that's loading, okay, wait for that to load. Okay, so first thing we see, right, this is how it typically looks like first. The work area, this is your thumbnail area, all the tabs with how you draw and stuff. Okay, panels, descriptions. This is the layer. Right, so remember the images we did before. I'm gonna file and import. We can import as scenes or layers. Layers means depending on which panel you are on now, right? This is one panel, this is one scene. Okay, you want to import both panels before as separate scenes. What you can do is import scene images as layers or as scenes. So I'm gonna go to desktop, right? And I'm going to go here under images. I can just shift select or control, and I'm gonna open them, right? So immediately they open as two separate scenes. So you can see that this is a different color, it's a different color. But if you want them both on the same panel here, all you gotta do is file, import as layers, right? So I'm just gonna select them both. Immediately they open in the same panel here. They're two separate layers, right? It's entirely up to you how you want to work it. Maybe this one layer has this one layer is for the character. You just want to delete it afterwards. So remember your shortcut key. 1 is to zoom out, 2 is to zoom in. Or you can just go to edit, preferences. You can change your shortcuts. Maybe let's say you want to change zoom. Okay. We can zoom, view, or zoom in. Okay. So that's, or you can clear this one, insert a new one, maybe Control Plus, right? Something that you're familiar with Photoshop. But right now I'm just gonna set it to 2 because that's what we're working with, or I can cancel that. Right, so this is what we work with. Right, you have these 2 layers. But say if you actually have a whole chunk of storyboard, you want to bring that one in. I'm gonna delete this too. Select, shift, and I'm going to delete this here. Select that bin. So let's say I'm going to import a whole storyboard, a whole image right here, board sample. I'm going to open that. Right. Even if you scale it up, right? I mentioned earlier, it doesn't matter what resolution you save it as before your original storyboard. Right. Make sure you hold down shift, so if you scale up and down, it maintains its size. Okay, so now that because I saved it in 300 dpi, right, for printing, that's why if I scale in and out, it doesn't really lose too much of its crispness, the clarity of the lines. So if I just wanted to select some parts here, I can just grab, let's say, the eraser tool. So I'm going to click on these edges, hold down shift, it will create a straight line for me. Alright, I'm going to hold down shift, create a new one, okay. So I'm very roughly now. So now I want to check, yeah, okay, so it's now a new panel of it, so I can just delete the rest if I want to. Or, yeah, and then I can shift this, scale it up, hold down shift, move it around. So this is where I want to start in, right? That's how you marked it in your board. So this is where it is. Alright. Now you want to create some camera panels, right? And you can actually delete this if I want to. and I want to merge these two scenes together. All you've got to do is just select this part here. Make sure you select this top tab, drag, and you can see that this bracket happens to merge with this other side. Otherwise, this one, if you merge to the middle here, you can see the line is a standalone, will become its own scene, but you want to merge it with this one. So once you see that the bracket has changed, going into the other scene before it, just release it and we'll merge into one scene. You can see the change, the numbering convention here has changed. Right, so before it was 3-1-1, so this is like scene 3 panel 1, right, 1 out of 1, and this is scene 1 panel 1. So now if I drag and drop this, you can see that this has become scene 1, this is panel 1, and this is panel 2. So you can continue to move it around if you want to, it doesn't matter. So you can move this here and you can change, okay, this name here is alright. So you want to change the numbering after that. Just go to storyboard, rename scene, and you can renumber all the scenes over here. So you can start with, let's say, 001. So automatically it will change the numbering for you. So I'm going to click OK. Alright. But this is not what I want. Originally I want to okay, so you can see that numbering has changed here. Scene 01, scene 02. But I want to merge these two together, so let's just merge that back. Okay. And now I want to create some camera motion, because that's what I've marked it for. So this is where you want to go to create camera motion. Go to camera, it's somewhere in this tab here. And if you cannot find it, go to Windows, toolbars, look for camera, right there. Okay, so here's the camera here. Once I click on it, you cannot see it now, but I'm going to select this auto light table just for you to look at. Right, so if I go to another layer, it just grays out the scene before it, the opacity goes low. But if I go here, I can see on this layer that I've selected, the layer becomes clear again. So no matter how, even if you export it out, don't worry. It's just this is just for a preview. Even if you export, it will show up exactly like this. This is just for preview only. So I'm gonna go here on this new layer. You can see that this is the box for the camera. Now I can move this camera around, right, around the space, and it's fine. Now take note that if I move this camera here, automatically the scene before that changes position. Okay, so this is because they share the same scene. So if you want to be sure where the scene would end up later, right, this panel, it's fine. You can just move the camera around a bit. So this is starting panel. Now I want to key it in. Go to Tool Properties right here, right, most right panel under Tool Properties. If you cannot find it, just go and click on this plus tab, click, and look for Tool Properties right down here under T. Right, Tool Properties. So this is the keyframe. Let's say you want to key at the start of this panel. We don't see this now, but we can see it in timeline soon enough. Okay, so we're going to add a keyframe at the start. You can see the color has changed to green. Now I want to put the camera here afterwards in the out part. So I'm going to put an end keyframe for this camera. So if the moment I click on it, you can see that this camera end frame has turned red, and you can select this box or anywhere part of the edge, but I'm gonna play it safe. I'm gonna select this red box down here and move it. Now if I hold on shift, it creates a straight line, right, no matter where you drag it, right, just a straight line. But if you don't hold down the shift button, you can drag it anywhere, and it doesn't adhere to which angle. You can go here. Now if you want to zoom in, you can select this edge here, and you can scale this camera up or down. you want to indicate a zoom in or zoom out. You can even rotate it. If you hover outside the corner here, yeah, it changes its icon to rotation, so you can rotate it. Okay. Now, if you want to reset your view, right? If I've gone too far out or too close up, I want to go back to how it was before. You want to reset the view. It's Shift M, right? So, okay, I've created this panel here, this camera angle here. Time to check how it looks like in the second panel. So this is how it looks like in the end panel. It's moved already to where we want it to be. This is where we can actually adjust the position of this panel. I can just use this select tool and reposition this where it should be. Okay, so this is where I want it to be in the end frame. So here. Okay, so you've made all these camera motions and all. You've repositioned everything. You've numbered all your panels. You've imported it all. So next you want to do is animatics, right? In case if you don't say timeline, right? First we have thumbnails. You just select this plus sign, look for timeline. Again, under T is between thumbnails and tool properties. Look for timeline, select it, and you can see that this is the view that you want to use to edit your file, to edit your animatics and your boards. So you just again hit 2 to zoom in, right? Space bar, you hold down space bar to drag your timeline around. So you see the display header. This is the one that you can scrub, you can drag around. We call it scrubbing to see the effects of it. And this is where you can actually adjust the timing. So by default, your duration can be set to 10, or you can go to File, Preferences, Import Export here. Let's see. Okay, sorry. Under Project Settings, you go under Project Settings. Your default panel length is, you can set it here. Maybe you want it to be exactly 1 second. That's fine. Right. But in this case, the preset for this, for my side of the project, is 10 frames. 10 frames right there. It's stated there. So I want to extend it some more. I can put it, let's say I want it to run for 1 second for this panel alone, and then it extends it automatically. And this one I want it to be about 2 seconds. So if I zoom out, you can see that it has been extended a lot, right? But if I don't want to input the numbers here, I can just hover over this panel, go to the edge here, right, of any panel, and you can see that the cursor has changed its shape. Okay, you can see that both ends have become arrows. This is when you can extend it or shrink it. So in this case, maybe I want to extend this part. You can see that, okay, it's plus 5 frames, plus 6 frames, plus 7. Maybe I just want an extra 10. So you can see that no matter how I drag it, this camera motion here will follow it. If that's not what I want, right, let's undo that, Control Z. If that's not what I want, I'll just go to this panel here, this camera tab here, right click on it, camera frame sync mode, and set to none, or relative to scene. So if what I mean, it means here, if relative to panel, if I drag that panel, the camera attached to that panel, no matter which side it is, will follow the length, the duration of that panel. It's the same for the whole scene. If you make any changes to one panel, it adjusts throughout the whole scene. So in this case, I just want it to stick to where it is. I'm happy with where it is. We'll just go for none. Alright, so you can see if I add 10 more frames, it stays where it is. But you can still make adjustments if you want. You can select it when it's highlighted blue, drag it back and forth. And you can also make changes to this one, this end here, highlight it. Or you can like double click on it, so you can drag it anywhere around within the same scene. It has to be within the same scene. You cannot like create a new scene, right? Let's just say I'm going to create a new scene right there. Go to timeline. I cannot drag this camera to the next scene. It has to be within the same scene itself. You want to create a continual camera motion in the next scene, you'll have to create a new camera motion here. So I'm going to drag this camera motion back here. Okay, right. So I'm just going to test it out for this scene, see how it looks like. You want to preview it, you can use this play selection. This icon means it's just going to play this panel alone. So I'm going to test it out. Okay. So maybe I want to make it a lot shorter. There we go. So you can see that the camera motion here is very linear. There's no, it just sticks at the start and end. It doesn't slow in and slow out. So go back to the camera motion here, camera, okay. Go to Tool Properties, and there's this option here, ease in and ease out. This is the option you can use to actually slow down the camera at the start or at the end. It's like a cushion for it. So let's just add maybe 5 frames at the start and 10 frames at the end. So you can immediately see if I were to start playing, yeah, it slows, it actually cushions the camera motion, so it does not suddenly snap. You know, it doesn't stop, snap and stop. So it's the same also. Remember with the, if you have to animate a layer, we can get that soon. Okay, so we have this camera motion right here. Now let's just say I want to animate this character, right? I could just duplicate this. I'm going to delete this, the rest here. I can right click on it and duplicate selected layers. I'm going to turn this one off. So I want to erase the rest. So normally I would just use this eraser tool. I can just slowly trace over it. Yeah. So, okay, until that's where I want it to end. Select this part here and delete. But another way you can do this is you go, you hover over this, you hold down, and select Cutter tool. So it's like selecting it. You can select any part, and automatically it will cut out that piece for you. So you can drag it around. I'm going to delete that. Okay, let's select the small part here. Okay, almost there. Select tool. Oops, sorry. So what happens? Yeah, what happened here is I'm not supposed to let it go. I'm not supposed to let it go. So while in select mode, this in the cutter mode, I have to make sure I've selected what I need to select first. I have to make a real big circle over it. Otherwise, it'll just try to close the gap with a straight line. That's not what you want. I'm going to delete that. So select, so you can see it just creates how do you say, an alpha around the character, meaning it's empty around the space of the character. Even if I were to fill it up later, right, with another color, you can see that I'm going to turn off this. Right, you can see that anything can be, the back is filled up. Nothing, there's nothingness around the character. We call this an alpha, especially in a PNG mode. So now I want to animate this character moving around. This is where this transformation tool comes from, layer transform. Okay, so the moment you select it, you can see that it's got a blue bounding box around it. You can drag anywhere. This is the camera moving, it's not the character. Okay, so I'm just gonna do this part here. He's gonna move, shift to the side. The same as the camera, some more, just now, right? I'm just going to add a keyframe. It just depends on where you place this play header, right here. I'm going to add a keyframe. This is where he'll be at first. And then later on, somewhere around here, towards the end, I can just move him around. Now, if I move him around, you can also hold down Shift to create a straight line, right? Or you can just leave it as it is. So you can see there's a motion path created right there. You can also add in wherever you want, a keyframe anywhere you want, right there. So he bobs up before he bobs down. Right. steps forward. Yeah. You can also add ease in at the start, maybe 5 frames, and also somewhere at the end there. You must select it first, so they will know which they want to automate whatever details you want to put in. So let's put in 5 frames also at the end here. So you can see that also it doesn't stick. It's a proper ease in and ease out. Same as the camera, you can actually double click and it will follow right there. So even if I turn this back on, I can lock it in place if you don't want to disturb it by accident. So there we go. So that's a very quick way of creating the animatic. Okay, so let's say there are some parts here you like the duration, you don't want to change, because let's say if you pull this around, right, the timing for everything would change. So you just want to change the slight timing here. You just hold down the alternate button, alternate on your keyboard, hold it down, so it will only change. Okay, you cannot see it here. So you can just only change the duration of whichever panel it is. It doesn't change the duration of the overall project. Right there. Okay. So this is one thing you can do. If you want to trim some parts, right, you can just right click, or you just bring the panel, the play header wherever you want, whichever frame. Let's say here you want to trim this excess. Right click on it and split panel at current frame right here. So it splits it, effectively creating a new panel in between. So it's up to you if you want to like take a pen or brush and draw over this part here. Okay, like let's say this part here, I'm gonna bring in a brush tool, I'm gonna delete, erase this part and draw in a new mouth for him. Yeah, so it doesn't change much timing there. So even if you record an audio, that would be it. So okay, everything is all hunky-dory, alright. So you don't like this panel, you can just hit delete, select and delete it. So there's a way that if you select whichever panel, it highlights within the gray box. So the next thing you want to do is you want to put in the animatics. Now you can use any external recording audio if you want. Our computer comes with it, or your laptop comes with it built in already. Or you can grab a microphone, wherever you can find. You can plug it into your laptop or computer, or ask to borrow your friends. I'm sure they will let you. And so let's say you want to record it internally here. If you have already recorded externally, that's fine. Just right click on this panel here, this audio. Okay, so okay, before we proceed, let's go to Windows, go under toolbars, and if you don't have this tick, right, let's say you don't have this tick, go to toolbars, select clips and tracks. So you notice that something like this will pop up. Maybe it won't pop up here, maybe it'll pop up somewhere here for you. Okay, for me it's a matter of making it easy because it's closer to where I want it to be, to show up over here. So this is an audio track. If you want to create a new audio track, or you can just select here, right click, a new audio track. It creates a new audio track for us. I'm gonna pull this up, right? So I'm gonna rename this this part here. Rename track. I want to name this narrator. Okay. Now I want to create a new one here. I'm gonna rename this track Jack. The character's name is Jack, by the way. Because who knows, maybe you record a few, or you prefer to mesh them all up in one track, that's fine. Okay. So you can import it, an audio clip. Just look for it wherever you saved it, anywhere. And then you select it, and then you open or import. So remember, this is the option you're stuck with: WAV, AIF, and MP3. So you can select whichever you want, and you can create a new audio track for it. Current means which one you currently have selected. In this case, it's highlighted in dark gray. and you want it to be where the play header is, that's where the current frame is, or you want to go to the first frame, the very beginning of this whole project. So current frame is, let's say you want the audio to start here, your play header is here. Make sure your play header is here first. You park it here, and then you can select current frame. So let's say if there's any other audio here, the audio file that you're going to import, it's going to be quite long, and you have an audio here. You have the option to override it, completely override it, or you want to fill in the next one, meaning instead of over here, like let's say there's an audio here, it starts right after it. So in this case, I want to override, and then you click OK. So that's how you import sound clip. Or you can like import it. Yeah, you can record an audio. There's an option there. I'll try that again. Right click anywhere part of this audio track. Right click, import sound clips. Or sorry, record sound right here. So it opens up this window for you. As long as you have a microphone built into your laptop or computer, or you can just plug in a microphone. You can immediately record your audio through this software. So let's start recording. I'm gonna call this narrate 1. So I'm gonna select it on this current track, on a current frame, and then we can overwrite or fill next one. So I'm just gonna start recording now. Okay, here goes. The door shut behind him. So I'm stopping here and click OK. It takes a while actually to show up, depending on how long you, yeah, there you go. So you want to hear how it is, you can start playing right away.
The door shut behind him.
So yeah, you can see there's some excess here. You can actually, like the camera just now, like the panels, you can select and drag right there. Okay, there we go. So we can try that again.
The door shut behind him.
Okay, so this is where it stops. And you want to scrub it. Notice that when I scrub this, it's really quiet, it's really silent, but somehow I want to use the audio as a timing. You can just right click on this track here, right click, send, and allow audio scrubbing. What it does is when you scrub over the audio, you can hear the how do you say, the narration going on, so you can tell which word you want to use as the proper timing and cue.
The door shut. The door shut behind him.
So this one should run a little longer, and I want this to extend. Okay, there we go.
The door shut behind him. Behind him.
So if I want to, let's say, trim some more parts and it goes on for too long, you have several clips and audio is going on, right? You record everything in one go, it's fine. You can just select this clip, right click on it, and split clip at current frame. So this is the line that you want to use afterwards. You can put it right there if you want to move it around. You can also move this around if you want to. It's fine. And let's say you want to how do you say, fade in and fade out. Hold down, right? So you don't, some of you might not see that line first, right? So you might see something, maybe something there like this. So you just need to right click on it, show waveform, clip names if you want to. So here it is. You can see which one you're actually working with. You can select audio scrubbing, and I'm going to show volume. So this is what we have, the volume. If you want to adjust, raise the volume, hold on alternate, so it creates a key there. So you can move this key up and down. You don't have to hold on the alternate, right? So next, I just want to add in more here, another key here. Hold on alternate, click and let go, release, and I want it to fade right there. So before then, we can hear some noise that goes on. Right, I'm gonna set it to scrub. So this is where I want it to fade. And I can also do it to the start, right there.
The door shut behind him. The door shut behind him.
So I can play.
The door shut behind him.
And I can continue to adjust where it should be. Hold on Shift, it will, yeah, it doesn't do much. Okay, there we go.
The door shut behind him.
So, okay, I'm gonna delete this part right here. Okay, so if I want to preview the whole clip, this is the button you're gonna use, play. So it plays the whole project rather than just that one scene.
The door shut behind him.
Okay, so sometimes maybe you don't hear any audio coming up. Don't panic, it's because this one was turned off, or any part of this you muted. It's muted. You can just turn it on, right, and make sure it's turned on.
The door shut behind him.
There we go. Then you can just save your project. So I'm gonna save that. So let's just say you forget to set the camera and the keyframe, the film aspect ratio, as well as the frame count. Don't worry, just go into storyboard, go to properties, go under project resolution. You can create a new one here. You can create a new preset around here, change your width and height, and check your frame rate right here. So that's okay. Alright? Okay, so I hope this will be helpful enough for you to get a head start on things. Just let me know if there's any other questions you'd like to know, how to make it a lot more efficient for your side. So good luck, and I hope to see you next week.